Show me the definition of evolution. Any of the evidence ever been proven? Knuckle dragging Darwin constructed illusions to take your mind and rape your mind. Now all we need is a revolution, overthrowing authority's prostitution. Arm the sleeping masses with truth is a movement to free your mind and realize.
Realize the lies your mind hides behind your blind eyes. You'll find a fine guy who tries to fly high like pies and white skies, but sighs and denies, then sides with Bill Nye. Come on, let's not be an idiot. Darwin's dead, that guy is illiterate. 8-man frauds were all illegitimate. Lucy Pill found time to get rid of it while on trial. Hinkle admitted it, forced his drawings, for he submitted them. Fooled since birth and paid for the privilege. You got duped and now you're a simian. That is what you think you are. Magic dust within a star. Big Bang shot you from afar. Now you're driving in a car. Monkey with a typewriter, tilting on a turning ball, throwing poo against the wall. Yep, that's what you think. Your uncle was a monkey in the fucking missing link. Your gullibility's driven me to the brink. Macroevolution isn't even a thing. The snake's in the hood and you're getting hoodwinked. Believing bullshit must just be a kink. With 4 hairy fingers stuck up in the pink and opposable thumbs getting lost in the stink.
And I think that's what's so great about what you're seeing with the music and Flat Earth in general, is that how it really is the one that completely destroys the foundation. It completely shatters the paradigm. And then you have to, like you said, relearn. Because it's like, oh, you can have questions about the moon landing, or I talked about like JFK with my buddy the other day, but you'll always have questions about JFK because you'll never have the whole truth. Where every day you could wake up and you could go see like, oh yeah, do the different tests. Water doesn't curve, all these different things. Stick to a spinning ball, like very easy, simple things. And that's what I think is so great with the message you put out in your music too.
Flat Earth is twofold great because of that. Like, not only is it the biggest deception possible, so it's the biggest lie in history, but it's also the easiest to prove.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, how great is that? We don't have to flounder around looking into all these friggin' rabbit holes that nobody can ever get to the bottom of, like the JFK assassination that people are still researching 50 years later and have theories left, right, and center. I don't even know, man. I still entertain theories that he didn't even die and it was a fake death, or who knows. It's so inconclusive that we really can't even get to the bottom of that one, just like many other conspiracies, even though they are. The thing with conspiracies is you can get to the point where you know that it's a conspiracy. You can get to the point where you can debunk the official explanation, so you know that whatever they're saying is wrong. The hard part is getting to what is actually right.
Right.
And you can debate and research down those rabbit holes forever. With the flat Earth, the great part is you can debunk the globe in a weekend. And then the next week you can spend doing backyard experiments where you can prove to yourself that we are motionless and there is no curvature to the Earth. Right. So you can find out for yourself, empirically, objectively, the truth about the shape of the Earth, which then opens up this whole new world where you realize, well, that means this is wrong, that's wrong, evolution and all these other things.
Right.
And again, I'm not saying, I don't have beliefs. I have a strong thing against belief, which is usually where people jump into. The second they don't know the answer for something, they look for an authority figure who has just 100% confidence in some answer, regardless of whether they can actually prove that answer. So, for instance, Big Bang. There's no empirical evidence of a Big Bang. Nobody can prove that is what happened. It's just a theory. But you've got all these astrophysicists writing books and giving lectures with 100% confidence saying, this is what happened. We know it. Mathematically, scientifically, whatever, and they use all the right words, but really it's just power of authority, the fallacy of authority, and people like what's that alien show? I want to believe.
X-Files, right?
X-Files.
Yes,
I feel like every conspiracy people are like that. They're just like, they get like sparkles in their eyes and they're like, I want to believe in Bigfoot and aliens and everything. It's like, I'm the opposite. I want to not believe. Like, I just don't believe. And people are like, you don't believe in dinosaurs? It's like, yeah, I just don't believe. But what about this? But what about that? It's like, no. I just don't believe.
Right.
Don't frame me into this. So you believe that this is a fake and this is a and this is a fake? No, no, no. I'm staying skeptical.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah,
And these
I
other
like that.
people who supposedly are skeptics, like the mainstream skeptics, like what are those ones called, Mythbusters,
Sure.
and the Amazing Randy, and these other people, they somehow they get the name skeptic, but all they do is promote the mainstream version of reality. So they're the absolute opposite of a skeptic. A skeptic is someone who doesn't buy hook, line, and sinker whatever theory or evidence is being proposed, and waits to corroborate evidence and figure it out for themselves. I have a special place in my brain for things that aren't conclusive, where they're able to just jumble in with any other evidence from the left, right, or center that happens to come along. And if I wasn't, I would never have been able to figure out flat Earth. I mean,
Sure.
I spent years. It took, most people nowadays, it's easy to figure out flat Earth. When I was trying to figure it out, the only information available was from like 150-year-old books and
Right.
false information on the Flat Earth Society website,
Sure.
which I had to like debunk for myself.
Yeah.
So it took me literally years to come to the conclusion that the Earth is flat and motionless, whereas people now, because the information has now been updated and repackaged in a way that it's really palatable and easy to figure out, people are able to wake up some people have said they've woken up within a video. They just knew it intuitively, and then they just needed to confirm it, which
Yeah.
obviously it's anybody that wakes up after one video, it's almost it's too fast. Hold on.
Yeah.
But it is true. I mean, intuitively, you don't feel that you're moving. Intuitively, you've never seen a curve. You've never felt yourself upside down on the earth or whatever, all these things. So, I mean, our natural common sense and experience is a flat, motionless earth. So people who are in touch with their intuition and in touch with their feelings, rather than in touch with the intellectual indoctrination they've received their entire lives, are able to kind of get a glimpse when they're like, wow, I kind of thought this was real actually, and then they get a few points of evidence that back it up, and it's like, they don't go to sleep that night.
Yeah.
I sure didn't.
No, that's definitely what happened to me too. And I remember the awe I was in when I took the time to Google, pictures of Earth from space, and everything was cartoons. I was just, I turned my phone, I closed the screen on my phone. And I just took a break. I was just like, this is exactly what he said would happen. And like satellites, because right before Flat Earth, I was looking, a guy at work was telling me about I don't think it was the Black Knight, but it was like this dark black satellite that was the Russian. It was like a big thing like that. He was like, oh, check out this. And then that is what got me into your videos and the Flat Earth stuff. Like it was YouTube was recommending. And I was like, oh,
cool.
Click,
Back in the day. Good old days.
Back in the good old days, yeah, for real. Yeah, it's nuts now. Even I have typed it because I sampled your video on dinosaurs for that prehistoric rhetoric, and that if I type in the exact title of it, it won't show up on YouTube. I have to go back to my favorites, find it, click it. I'm like, I typed in, because I think it's called dinosaurs never existed or something like that. Like Eric Dubay, dinosaurs never existed. Boom, it's not the first thing that comes up. It's all someone critiquing it, someone talking about this, dinosaurs are real. You know what I mean? Just and one thing too that's so funny with dinosaurs, and I think people are being a little bit more open-minded with the idea of dinosaurs or what they look like, because I've seen where they're they'll take rhinoceros bones and be or have someone who's never seen one draw oh, what do you think these bones would look like? And they draw these complete freaks of nature and no, this is a rhinoceros. This is a real creature that looks nothing like what you drew from what the bones are based so they're guessing, and like you said, they're saying it with authority. So with the Big Bang, they always have exact numbers, and that was the first thing that always was fishy to me when they were 66 million years ago, whatever. It was so it's not 65 and a half, 64.2. It's 66 exactly. I'm that's not that. There's no way. There's no fractions in the world that they live in, I guess, or whatever. It's whatever. So that was a red flag, and then it gets worse, and they say it like that is factual, and then it changes, and then people are quick to like, well, that's science. Science changes it as we get more information. I'm like, yeah, but like 2 years ago, you guys were pretty sure that Pluto was a planet, and now it changed. Like, that was another red flag. I'm like, you know, the effect it has on the Earth, or it doesn't, you know, I don't know. We could keep going down that road with it, but definitely all red flags.
Absolutely. They give these really specific figures for all their theoretical nonsense to make it seem like it's not theoretical. It's like, oh, we've got mathematical equations, and that's all they've got is mathematical equations. And the equations that they plugged their numbers into gave them those numbers, and so now they're sure that that's what it is. But for mathematical equations to have any relevance on reality, they have to be referencing an actual natural phenomenon, something that actually tangibly exists that you can measure. And for instance, with the distance to the sun, they're not doing that. Nobody's ever gone to the sun, so you have no idea. They're just plugging it into a formula and getting new numbers every time.
Right.
So when they first came up with the heliocentric formula, the first figure for how far the sun away was like a very specific number starting with 3 million. 3,600,000, blah, blah, blah. The next one was a very specific number starting with 12,500,000, 7, whatever. And then it was Newton would say, he had that quote where he was like, it doesn't matter whether it's 26 million or 54 million miles away. Okay. And from there on, it was,
well, that was pretty scientific.
It actually went up to like 104 million miles away back in the early 1900s, and then they reined it into the current figure of 93 million, which they've been sticking with that for a while. But exactly, they do that. Oh, with star distances, those are ridiculous. They could talk about red shifting and blue shifting, and so apparently based on the hue, the color of the star, if it's, I forget which is which, but if it's, say it's red, then that means it's moving away from us, and if it's blue, it's moving towards us based on the space-time expansion from the Big Bang. And based on the exact hue, they know that this one is 4.2 trillion light years away, and that one is how far away and where they're going. But I can look out at most of the stars with a camera or a telescope and see them flicker and blink between red, blue, green, yellow, and every other color every split second. If you look at Sirius or Vega, or there's a bunch of stars that are multicolored, and anytime you look at them, they're switching between colors all the time. So their claim that stars are some consistent color that they can measure and get perfect distances on them based on their color and hue, again, theoretical nonsense, but presented to us with authority and exact figures right down to the decimal point, so it seems legit. And everybody just buys it because most people that's how we get used to getting information in school, is via authority. We don't get taught evolution and intelligent design, and then you get to choose, and third-party explanations, say, and then you get to critique and choose. No. We get taught evolution, and you have to write, everything that Darwin said down on the test, or you get an F. So it's all about regurgitating arguments from authority. I don't get the option of saying the Earth is flat, or dinosaurs didn't exist, or the Holocaust didn't happen. I never had those options in school. I had to say all of those things happened, all of those things existed, or fail out of school. So the way we're educated is not true education. We're not learning how to take on new information, actually how to discern new information. We're learning how to memorize and regurgitate any old information, be it true or false. The real important skill we're lacking is that discernment. How do you know which is true and which is false? And nobody's teaching that in school. The way you learn that is through learning logical fallacies, logic, rhetoric, logical fallacies. What do they call it? There's a word for it, the trivium, or there's a four. Trivium is the main one. But they took that out of schools, and then they just add all of these other subjects, which are info. So they take out of schools how to learn, and they put into schools what to learn. So you no longer know how to learn, but you can memorize all this random crap for 12 years and regurgitate it.
Yeah, and how much of it is going over the same stuff you learned the last year just to like re-ingrain it. It's like we were talking about Pearl Harbor. I mean, like I feel like every year you're learning about World War II. Instead of like, oh, World War I and this is what else was happening in the world or so on. It's like World War II. It's like seven. You have like seven.
Hitler's bad. 6 million Jews.
Yeah.
Same trigger words over and over again. You don't even learn anything new. It's always just about concentration camps, gas chambers, 6 million, 6 million, 6 million, Auschwitz. Feel bad for the Jews. Hate Hitler. Yeah. Nazis are bad. There's no. I've never heard anything about that in any school book ever.
Right. Instead of like explaining any of the economic sides of it, or national socialism, or going into that, just a lot of the just stripped down. Here's what you need to know going forward, and it's tough. Discernment wasn't even in my vocabulary until Flat Earth, and it was like, having to decide, or as more information comes out, and like I would take it in, so just learning. So when people were like, oh, aliens and this or Bigfoot, I'd be like, I would just take it in. Or ghosts, I'd be like, just take it in. Like, okay, I don't know, like kind of like I just didn't dive right into each one. Ancient Aliens was almost the breaking point, and that might be for a lot of people maybe, where it kind of took you could go one way and it's like, oh, aliens and this, or otherwise it was kind of like, well, you're trying to connect too many dots maybe, or give too much credit. So you can kind of, as you start to look at that critically or using your discernment, it's like, I don't know. So like, it's so funny to be full circle where it's like more or less to the, aliens or demons or those different things, other dimensions instead of from other planets, but other possibilities. So do you, what else? I thought I was going to bring up one of the other ones too, but you have Payday Monsanto on Life on the Ball. Was that who reached out to who, or was that were you guys just on each other's radar?
Yeah, no, I was surprised with that one. I was on his radar, I guess, and he reached out to me, and we made that happen real fast.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. Appreciated that very much.
Oh yeah, that's a great one too, and I think because that was one of the ones that was in your videos. I don't know if it was at the end or I thought there was something that was integrated, because I know your channels have been pulled down. We're talking about censorship a little bit. So how many have officially gotten pulled from YouTube, we'll say?
So I've had 3 entire channels banned. My first channel had 28 million views, over 135,000 subscribers. And then the 2 channels I've built since then have never gotten nearly that much. They just start to creep up again and then axe them. And I've had now 35 videos banned. I've made about 350 videos in the past 10 years or something, and YouTube has perma-banned 35 of them. You can only find now on BitChute, Library, Brighteon, a few other places I'm uploading. If you go to ericdubay.com, what I'm doing now is I have a videos menu, and there's like 10 different video sharing sites on there besides YouTube. So for all these, and they're like the best, obviously the best ones, the best 35 videos I've made, you can only find them off YouTube. YouTube just decides to axe all of the highest quality content, of course.
Yeah.
Not necessarily highest quality, but it is some of the stuff that you're not meant to know. Let's say those 35 videos are the stuff that the powers that be would really like to not have around.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you a story now about a guy named Ben Franklin. Said a lot of great things. He thumbed his nose at kings. People said he was chill. Got his face on $100 bill. But there were bodies found. They were underground, underneath his home. There were catacombs. Are you spending your Ben Franklin's now? I hope you're spending your Ben Franklin's now. company is very poor. Because I break the law. And that's not a metaphor. I done broke the law, I done broke the law. I done broke the law, I done broke the law. My Ben Franklin's don't mean a fucking thing. Cause I requested that you should kill the king. My Ben Franklin's don't mean a fucking thing. Cause I requested that you should kill the king. The Space Needle just disappeared from town. Did they blow it up? Did they knock it down? The Space Needle just disappeared from town. Did they blow it up? Did they knock it down?